my name's Andrew Berkowitz. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Socialstack. We're a very easy-to-use social token platform focused on onboarding non-crypto native communities into the space in a very easy-to-use way. And I'm sure everyone in this room has been fairly DAO-pilled at some level. At least, if not before this conference, you were over the past couple days. And so I'll start kind of very high level on what a social token is. And it's really this new form of cryptocurrency that's issued by a brand, an organization, a nonprofit, a creator, where the value of the token is derived from the underlying social capital of the issuer, combined with the utility that they add on to the token. And so it's really this interesting new asset class that we have to create new forms of mediums of exchange, new forms of community-based currencies, and we're focused on all those things with an impact lens at Socialstack, which we'll get into shortly. So right now, there's really two pathways to become a DAO. The first is a from-scratch crypto-native community. And this is really the path to become a DAO right now if you want to actually successfully become a DAO and have a liquid token. And the second pathway is a little bit more difficult. This is the pathway of basically onboarding an existing community that was built in the Web 2 era or before into becoming a DAO. And there's a lot of challenges with that. The first challenge is just the reality that 99% of the world still is not crypto native. There's only 1% of the world population that even have any form of a crypto wallet. And so this pathway of going from, a podcast community, a nonprofit community, a musician, even if the issuer themselves have some level of crypto native thinking and ability to kind of navigate in the space with context, their community, most likely 99% aren't really there. And so again, at Socialstack, we're really focused on how can we make very easy to use tools that's turnkey both for the issuer of the social token as well as their community members to really start this process of bootstrapping a network and taking a community and turning it into a microeconomy. And when you originally launch a token or launch a social token and start that process of onboarding a community into a DAO, it really looks more just like a reward point on the blockchain. You basically start to incentivize behavior of the community that could be as basic as subscribe to our email newsletter, follow us on Twitter, retweet something, or more deeper activations like attend an event, participate in some form of bounty, or kind of deeper things that are going to directly advance the community KPIs. So here's the reality of where we're at right now. About 1% of the world has a crypto wallet, and according to DeepDAO, there's 1.7 million people in the world that hold a DAO token. And so that's 0.02% of the global population, which is just a reflection of how insanely early we are. I know everyone keeps saying that, but the reality is that even though 0.02% of the world population hold a DAO token, it's a very, very tiny fraction of that are actually actively participating in tokenized communities as opposed to, just holding the token in their MetaMask wallet or on some centralized exchange. And so what's really important and kind of the thesis that we're building Socialstack with is the fact that as we go down and get into the, early adopter, early majority life cycle, this statement, the majority of the world will join Web3 by earning their first crypto, not by investing in their first crypto. And so what that means is that the majority of the world will join Web3 through social communities, not through DeFi and not through investing. And we're already seeing that start to play out with NFTs. NFTs are kind of starting to bridge that gap into mainstream culture, and it's happening through social communities. And so this is where we're going over the next decade, up and to the right in terms of the amount of assets that are held in community DAO treasuries. And again, the social tokens and community DAOs, they're the same exact thing. As the social token starts to get distributed within a community, it slowly over time starts to turn into fully fledged community-based DAO. And that's really, in my opinion, what product market fit is for a social token. You're either going to distribute it and slowly become a DAO over the next decade, or it's probably not going to work out. So this is kind of this, I would say, the second thesis that we have at Socialstack, and it's that 2020, the COVID crisis was an accelerant for this structure of a DAO. And the reason I say that is if you think back to 2008 during the financial crisis, what that was a complete breakdown in trust of the banks. And that necessitated decentralized ledgers, that necessitated transparency, and really what Bitcoin was the foundation for. But what happened in 2020 was a complete breakdown in the ability of our hierarchies and our centralized institutions to coordinate and adapt and be agile and really mitigate the crisis, which resulted in, we're all aware of what happened over the past couple years. And in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons for that is we've had a few decades now of people getting into positions of power, authority, based on their ability to navigate politics and the social dynamics within these large institutions, as opposed to the most competent and the most poised people being in positions where they can actually make decisions from a place of knowledge, poise, strength. And so the structure of a DAO really, in my opinion, is the solution to this coordination problem, because it's a much better way to ensure that the most talented people are in the right position for the right tasks, and it's a much more pure form of meritocracy than currently exists in all the different three-letter agencies out there. So this is what the typical DAO treasury looks like for the token allocation for the DAO or for the social token. You're typically going to see 50 to 70% of the token allocated into the community treasury. You'll see some type of retroactive airdrop that's maybe 5 to 10% of the token, with the purpose of activating any existing community members or activating any new community members. And we saw that with Looks Rare, ENS, Rareable, and all sorts of different strategic airdrops to activate the community. You'll see 15 to 20% allocated to team, partners, stakeholders, and then potentially some small 3 to 5% allocated to liquidity mining rewards or something that's unique to that specific DAO. So Rial Paul from Real Vision and some others have estimated that social tokens are going to be a $1 trillion asset over the next 5 to 10 years. So our thesis at Socialstack is this little sliver here. What if all these community DAOs and all these social tokens allocated around 5% of their treasury, of their token, towards incentivizing impact-driven behavior from their community members that's aligned with the culture, the brand, the values of the community? According to the projections of this $1 trillion asset over the next 5 to 10 years, what this could do is unlock $100 billion by 2031 to incentivize grassroots impact action. So this is a completely new paradigm in terms of what we're seeing now in terms of nonprofits, charities, is we donate 5-10% of the revenue that we make to some form of nonprofit. And the paradigm shift here is, instead of money going to a charity, that capital is directly incentivizing action within the community that's advancing the outcomes. And that could be cleaning up the beach, planting trees, cleaning up the park, walking your neighbor's dog, really whatever impact behavior is aligned with that specific community. On our platform, on Socialstack, and the culture that we want to help seed within this ecosystem is to really be incentivizing the grassroots action that at scale, action by action, can be the solution to all of the problems we face across climate change, global inequality, mental health, and it's really just a whole new way to think about impact and behavior change. So again, here's the current paradigm. Mr. Beast is a really popular YouTuber. A couple months ago, he basically activated his community, and he used his social capital to raise financial capital from his community, which was able to remove 30 million pounds of trash from the ocean. And so this new paradigm that we're talking about of essentially impact to earn really looks like Mr. Beast issuing a social token, which what that does is unlocks all the forms of capital within his community: financial, social, human, creative capital, and directs it towards the same goal. But in this paradigm, what Mr. Beast is doing is issuing the token, using it to incentivize and prompt measurable action from his community members. In this case, it would be removing plastic. The community members take action, earn the token, and what that does is it creates this flywheel of earning and redeeming that can create a completely sustainable microeconomy that has monetary incentives built within it to advance these behaviors in a way that's like sustainable and can actually drive cultural change at a global scale towards solving all of our big impact problems. So one thing I do want to touch on, this impact to earn stuff, like this is not some like hippy dippy airy fairy bullshit. This is, you know, this is really a way that a DAO can first off curate culture aligned members, because at the end of the day, the way DAOs are operating outside of the core team is you have bounty hunters, you have speculators, and you have people that are not fully aligned with the incentives of the DAO over the long run. And so the ability to actually earn your way into a DAO by taking impact actions aligned with that DAO's culture, like that curates a vibe. Vibes are moats in the space. And so the ability to really do that and bring people that are aligned with your ethos and your values, that's going to seed true culture within DAOs. And it's really going to kind of get the speculators and the bounty hunters and the missionaries on the sidelines. The second thing is just pure optics. Imagine how valuable a social token would be if it was like the thing that kind of tipped the scale on climate change and incentivized enough behavior globally. Like it would be $1 trillion asset, you know? And so all of the marketing, all of the optics that comes from implementing this in the DAO, I think there's a ton of value from that. And then the final thing is creating social change. Like there's a lot of lip service in the space. There's a lot of we're going to change the world, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, the fact that it's decentralized, that's not the only issue. The main issue is wealth. And the fact that 1% of the world has a crypto wallet right now, and 95% of the Bitcoin is already in circulation, it's not necessarily a better distribution of wealth. And so this is a way to really provide meaningful ways for people to earn their way into crypto and drive social change that we're all paying lip service to, that, you know, let's get it done. So Socialstack has a couple plug-and-play functionality components that enable, you know, again, any non-crypto native user, community member, leader to start this process of issuing a token, incentivizing behavior within the community that on our platform is in parallel, this impact to earn action, but also it's important to be incentivizing your key community KPIs with the token. And so if you're a podcaster, that means incentivizing people to listen to the podcast. If you're a musician, that means incentivizing people to buy tickets, to buy merch, to attend your concerts, and so on for all the different use cases. And so we have a login with email functionality, which creates a custodial experience for non-crypto native users. We have a login with MetaMask option to go into non-custodial mode, and any user that is in custodial mode can turn that on at any moment. But what we're seeing right now is like people don't really want the responsibility of managing their private key. Like it's a lot of responsibility to really like manage that, and then the fact that you have to change your RPC network, add a custom contract code, like do all this stuff that I'm sure most of the people in this room can do, but 99.9% of the world cannot do that. Yep, and then beyond that, just very simple to use earning and redeeming functionality within the community of delegating tasks, redeeming into storefronts, having a token referral program, and using QR codes to prompt earning. It's kind of really inclusive functionality for anyone to be able to participate. And this is kind of what the interface looks like. You log in, it's a very kind of Web 2 friendly interface. You can complete tasks to earn tokens. Your token balance is at the top right. And then on the flip side, we have shop functionality where community leaders can then list physical products, NFT coupon codes that people can redeem the tokens for. And so it's kind of like a base value to add on to your token in the early days of its development. So we have a bunch of real-world use cases that are actually implementing some of this impact to earn stuff we're talking about. At the top right, Anthony Ezekwo is one of Africa's leading crypto artists. He put out the Red Man NFT, which certainly made the rounds on Twitter, but he uses his token to primarily incentivize youth in Africa to read books, and he uses the monetary component of his token to actually purchase those books for the young people. The Project Zero is a really big nonprofit at the intersection of ocean and climate. They incentivize a lot of plastic cleanup, ocean cleanup, beach cleanup. Likewise, the Blue Tiki token is one of the biggest surfing companies in the world that we're working with, and they also incentivize mangrove planting and cleaning up the beach. And so we have 20 of these communities on the platform across all sorts of different use cases, and we're really trying to seed this culture of impact to earn and incentivizing impact behavior with tokens. So who knows what this is? I know you all know what this is, so somebody say it. Thank you. So it's the Black Mirror episode where you get rated based on your social interactions, and then it creates your socioeconomic score. Very dystopian, and I am definitely motivated in what we're doing at Socialstack to ensure that the social token space does not go in the wrong direction, where what happens is we all in our professional pursuits and our passion pursuits just get turned into a commoditized stock that allows anybody to just speculate on our worth. And I think there's elements of what can be done for new monetization models for creators, but really at the forefront of the conversation needs to be how can we activate all the forms of capital inherent within our communities, and that's financial capital, social capital, creative capital, and human capital, and direct that to really meaningful impact goals. And our mission at Socialstack is to curate this culture within the social token and community DAO sector, and then make it a norm across the entire crypto space. And if we're successful in doing that, and we're building the tools to do that, we will unlock trillions of dollars in incentives towards incentivizing frontline impact actions, and by doing that, we'll be able to action by action by action, create the exact, and very in an intentional way, create the exact future that we all want to see in this room. Thank you. I'm not sure what time.
Yeah, that was awesome. Let's hear it.